Well, for the first time since I started this YouTube channel, for the first time in 52 days, bad news that the Broncos have lost a football game. The Denver Broncos were defeated narrowly by the Houston Texans in Houston, and what was a pretty pivotal game for playoff chances. I am still extremely hopeful for the future of this team. I think there's way more good news coming out of this game than there is bad, and we're going to dive into all of that in this video. If you're new to this channel, my name is Ben. I talk all things Broncos, and I'm excited that you're along for the ride even after a loss. So also want to come right out and say to the Houston Texans and their fan base, because I see them blowing up my comments, congratulations to you on winning. I do still think it is way too early to crown CJ Stroud as the next Patrick Mahomes. He had some flashes there, but I think the Broncos defeated themselves in this game. I don't think CJ Stroud beat us, and we're going to dive into that and a lot more in this. So the good news that comes of this is, despite we've heard people all week talking about the sustainability of this Broncos team, right? That, oh, can you sustain this? You're getting all these turnovers. Can you sustain this? Well, the fact is we really beat ourselves. We had a blocked punt and 3 garbage turnovers. And despite all of that, we were down on the goal line with just 10 seconds left in the game with 4 chances at the end zone, and we would have won it. So the fact of the matter is that playing the toughest game remaining on our schedule, we barely lost, even though we got destroyed in the turnover battle, even though our offensive line was the worst I've seen them in a long time, and even though we couldn't get anything going passing or running or any of that, we were in this game. And that, I think, is a testament to Sean Payton. That is a testament to how this team is built. And that's why, even though I still feel like vomiting at the end of this game, I'm very hopeful that the Broncos are still going to make the playoffs, because Sean Payton is just built different. And as much as you want to say DeMeco Ryan outcoached him, when you lose the turnover margin 3-0 and you have a blocked punt and you still really should have lost that game, you look at I think it was 2nd and goal. Jerry Jeudy was wide open across the middle. And then even Russ's interception in the end zone was to Kroll, that new tight end who we did a video about earlier. And if that had been Dulcich or someone who'd been on the team more than 2 weeks, I think he runs the right route and gets open. But let's look at some of the stats here and kind of why there's hope and why I still think we have a really good shot. So you just look here. Russell Wilson did lose a turnover battle. He had 3 interceptions, and CJ Stroud did not have any interceptions. But I think if you look at Russ's interceptions, one of them was a tipped ball. One of them was a great play that Russ kind of underthrew Courtland Sutton. If he puts just another foot of air on that ball, Courtland's walking into the end zone there, because he had gotten behind him. And then the last one was just on that play when Russ made something out of nothing, and he kind of scrambled out and threw an interception in the end zone to lose the game. But I thought Russ was just gritty today. I know a lot of people in Broncos country are disappointed in the 3 turnovers, but I really think our offensive line let him down. He just didn't have time to set his feet, and there was probably a couple times when he got happy feet and scrambled out when he didn't need to. But I think for the most part, he was being pressured over and over again, and that's just not a recipe for success. We need to play better, and it's one thing when the offensive line in the past was giving up lots of pressure on him, but they were open up like gaping holes for Javonte or Jaleel McLaughlin to run through. But if you look at just our team stats for rushing, that was not good. Like we 15 yards running the ball. That's on any of the Russ that one of line was that today. So that was the is I've said that when I asked a poll a couple weeks ago, what's the scariest game on our schedule? Everyone said this game. So if the scariest game on our schedule was one we barely lost, even though we had no business even being in this game, I think that's a reason alone for hope that we didn't need to win out. It would have been awesome to win out and catch the Kansas City Chiefs, but we did not need to win out. We said that we think 10-7 will make the playoffs. There's over a 90% chance that 10-7 makes the playoffs. So we still have a game to lose. And if you look at our remaining schedule, I don't think there's really any reason to fear. If we look at who we have left, the Chargers just barely eked out a win. Let me move this over here a little bit for you. The Chargers just barely eked out a win, 6-0 against the Patriots. So like that is about to fall apart. And I think we quicken that next week by beating the Chargers. Then we play on a primetime game on a Saturday night in Detroit. That game is going to be a tough game. But again, if we lose that does not matter that much for playoff seedings because that is an NFC game. Then we play the absolutely garbage New England Patriots on Christmas Eve at home. I think that's a win. Then at that point, we're ready to make our final playoff push with just our two division rivals there against the Chargers and the Raiders. And neither of those games scare me. So I'm a little discouraged right now because I thought we were about to pull a victory out of the jaws of defeat, as they say again. But I also have not given up hope on this team because we showed that even when we had no business being in a game, we didn't give up on Russ. We didn't give up on who we were. And you just saw that Sean Payton really does lift all boats. That there were a couple times in this game where if you looked at the ESPN breakdown of the chances of winning, they have that little graph of what under the box score here, this little chart down here shows what chances you have of winning at different points in the game. And if you just look here, these peaks and valleys where it goes, you only have a 10% chance of when it gets there, normally when you have situations like this where all of a sudden you're 16-3 and Russ throws another interception, normal Broncos teams, Nathaniel Hackett Broncos team, Vic Fangio Broncos team, they throw in the towel. You see them stop trying. We never gave up. And if anything, we just figured out CJ Stroud more and more. I think the more times he got the ball, the more times we were going to stop that offense. And that was clear that, once Pat Surtain was back in the game and healthy, they really didn't move the ball well at all. So I want to give all props to Houston. I hope for your sake, CJ Stroud ends up being the next Mahomes. I didn't walk away from that game being terrified of playing him in the AFC for a lot of years to come. So, and maybe I watched it totally wrong. But I think the other giant reason for hope is that there were 2 points in that game where we had lost our best offensive lineman and our best defensive player in Pat Surtain. And I would have been really discouraged had that happened, but both of them came back. Looking at Twitter quickly afterwards, both of them seemed to be in good shape. And so health-wise, we still have our offensive line intact, although I don't know if that's a great thing after how they played today. I think they will get things together. I think they will get it figured out. This was a tough place to play. This was a raucous crowd that had been the worst team in the NFL last year, and you could see that crowd was excited to have Houston back. And so I think it'll be a very different situation next week on the road, which is essentially a home game. We know that LA Chargers, there aren't really any Chargers fans. I've never met an actual Chargers fan in my life, and that's not trying to be a joke. I just haven't. There aren't Chargers fans like there are other fans of other fan bases. So I think next week is a road game, but I think it's essentially a home game. That game against Detroit is going to be tough, but I think we win it, and it's not a must-win. And we are healthy, and other teams are getting injury bit as we go through this. So Broncos country, do not give up hope. I think we're making the playoffs. We got a lot of green grass in front of us, and we're headed for the end zone. We're headed for the playoffs for the first time in 7 years. We're going to make it happen. Broncos country, let's ride.